Hey everybody, it's Tradius Trades back with another COT setup market video. I think you're going to really like this one this week. Before I get started, I'd like to just shout out to my Discord. If you'd like to join, it's free. Shoot me an email to tradiustrades@gmail.com. Great group of traders in there. Second order of business, this is not financial advice. You should know that there's real risk in these markets. You can lose more money than you plan on losing. And don't hold me responsible for it. This isn't advice. This is educational and entertaining, hopefully. And then, as well, I'd like to shout out to the man, the legend, Larry Williams. Without Larry's concepts, I wouldn't be able to make money in these markets. So I thank Larry for these concepts and give credit because this is how I trade, is how he taught me to trade. So here we go. What's the setup market this week? Well, there's lots of them. But this week, in this week's video, we're going to look at sugar. So starting with the COT index. So what I noticed this week is that the small speculators, the green line, are extremely short sugar. Look at the last time they got extremely short sugar. That was in January of 2025, and that led to a nice multi-week up move. Definitely money to be made in a move like that. And look at the last time they got this short again was back here. Definitely money to be made. Look at the last time they got this long to a long extreme. Definitely money to be made on the short side there. So even though the commercials aren't in the buy zone, I like the fact that the small specs are extremely bearish. So I like that. What else do we got going for this setup? That's a nice start. Then we have undervaluation versus gold. So that's the second code that I see. Let's take a look under the hood a little bit further. Well, I guess right here, the net positioning lines, we see that the commercials are getting long while the small specs and the large specs are getting more short. We're getting this nice bubble up. We see the bubble ups happen at major market turning points. So I like to see that bubble up occurring. Taking a look over here at open interest, what do we see? Open interest is the black line in the bottom. Open interest has been declining. So that means basically interest is getting lower, not as many people participating in this market. But what I notice is that these guys, the commercials, are buying into this dip, which is normal, but I like to see it. That's normal behavior. They're hedging, they're buying and I like to see that. So that's another setup code. So what do we got so far? Small spec index. We've got the small spec, the open interest in our favor. We have valuation. Let's take a look at the seasonal. Now this seasonal is really potent. Look at this. We're right around a major seasonal low. The major seasonal low doesn't technically come in until around May 30th to June 6th, but it's still right around a major seasonal low, and this is a big time seasonal, so we really want to pay attention. And we see that normally sugar is a lot lower right now than the price that it normally is from January. And what are we? We're stronger. So this is called a supercharged seasonal. We're higher than the seasonal. I'll show you with arrows here. So price that typically is much lower based on the seasonal from the January price, but right now we're way stronger coming into a major seasonal low point. This is looking like a really nice trade, you guys. Really nice trade. Then I also have bullish spread divergence. I'm going to bring another chart into the screen so you can see this. So what I've got here is the front month is the bars, and then down here this is the spread, taking the front month minus the next month out. And what I notice that I like to see, which is bullish, is the fact that the spread is picking up and it's holding. So this whole decline, price has been declining. What has been happening to the spread? It's actually been making higher lows. So that tells me that the commercials are involved in this market. The only people that will drive a market into a premium, this is called a premium coming on. We don't have a premium market yet, but this is how they start when you start to see the price declining, but the spread relationship operating like this tells us that the commercials really want delivery now. They're willing to drive this market at least towards a premium in order to get earlier delivery. So that is a bullish setup condition as well. So that's the setup. Those are all bullish setup conditions. Now let's go see if there's any sort of confirmations. So this is the sugar chart now on the daily time frame, and what I notice is that, well, first of all, I got to this setup late. So this setup has already had a bullish trend change. We have a qualified trend line coming down close here, then it got up to that trend line. That is a buy signal. We've put in now a higher low, and we've taken out a short-term high, and now we're putting in higher highs and higher lows. So this is doesn't always happen for me. Usually I'm quite early to finding these setups, and What's happening with this one is I missed it the last few weeks, or I had it on my list and took it off for one reason or another. Now it's back on my radar. I missed the initial entry. So that what I'm going to be looking for is continuation trades. I'll want to see this percent R come back down into the oversold zone, or at least below the 50 range of the percent R on one of these 3% Rs that I track, and then look for some continuation trades. This looks really nice. But had I caught it earlier, there was confirmation. So the price is making lower lows, and our accumulation measure of POIV was making higher lows, and we had Progo making higher lows. So that's all confirmation. That's telling us that this market's being accumulated at the lows by the professionals. And what I also like to see is right now the Progo professional line is starting to close and cross above the public line, which is the green line. What that tells us is that the market is in the hands of the professionals. The professionals are doing the buying, in other words, the trend following large specs. And we can expect that they are going to follow this trend, and this trend should continue to the upside. A nice target would be up here around $20, $19 to $20. So this is the setup, really nice setup. And before we finish, there's more that really puts the icing on the cake, so to speak, and I don't like to be cheesy, but there you go. This seasonal is just so strong, but what is really interesting is that the cycles are also in alignment with this setup. Now let me drag a cycle onto the screen here, and this is a composite cycle using daily data of the 3 most dominant cycles that I could find in my cycle work, and we see that sometime mid-May we can expect a major cyclical low to come in, which is great, just additional confirmation that we're looking at the right setup here. And if we break it down, the most dominant cycle is the 177-day cycle, so we see that one doesn't bottom until around June 18th. So that's not perfect. None of this stuff is perfect, you guys. But the 133-day cycle, which is the second strongest cycle that I could find using daily data, bottoms right around the middle of May. So that's really strongly confluent. And then we also see the 25-day cycle lining up around the middle of May for a nice low, right around that major low from the 133-day cycle. So cycles lining up, saying that this setup is pretty nice. You don't always see the cycles line up with the setup. In this case, we have pretty much everything going for us. We don't have extremely bearish sentiment. The commercials aren't in an extreme buy zone, and we don't have a paunch, but we have everything else. And remember, you only need a combination of ingredients to make a cake. You don't need every ingredient in the world to make a delicious cake. So you guys, that's the setup. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you got some value out of it, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. If you want to join my Discord, it's completely free. I share my views on the market, how I navigate the market, how I'm participating in the market. Got a great group of guys in there. Join us. Shoot me an email at tradiustrades@gmail.com, and I'll get you in with your private invite link. And wishing you guys a great weekend. Rest, recuperate, prepare for the week ahead. It's going to be another good week in the markets, win or lose. And thanks for listening, you guys. We'll see you next week.